The New York Rangers continue their recent disturbing trend of slow starts. They basically sleepwalked through the first period in Buffalo against the Sabres earlier in tonight's game, what turned out to be a 3-2 loss. The Rangers did manage to rally out of a 2-0 hole to tie the game at 2, send it into overtime, but the slow start ended up costing them. And then, of course, Jeff Skinner scores in overtime, and the New York Rangers lose. Going to be discussing all that and more, including the kid line and the Ranger fourth line, really kind of leading the way for this team tonight while the top six faltered. Going to be discussing all that and much more on today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers. Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 797 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. And yeah, the Rangers, obviously, since the last time we talked, they have since lost 2 games. They fall in New Jersey against the Devils by a final score of 2-1. And then a little bit earlier tonight, just about, 10 or 15 minutes ago here, they fall in overtime on the road against the Buffalo Sabres by a final score of 3-2. We're going to focus in mainly on the game against the Sabres because that's a little bit fresher in everybody's head. But the one thing that these 2 games certainly had in common, there was a theme here, and it's not really a good one, is that the Rangers got off to a rough start in the first period. And Gerard Gallant was actually asked about the Rangers, their slow starts that they've been having recently. And I do have that quote in my phone, if everybody could just bear with me for a second here. That's what he had to say. I don't know what it is. The last 5 or 6 have been a joke. We clinched a week ago, and it seems like we clinched and the season's over. It's not the way that it's supposed to work. And he's absolutely right, and I think for sure, the coaching staff bears some responsibility there, but ultimately it's up to the players to get out there and bring it and understand that, there's still some work to be done, and you want to finish the regular season strong here. And, the Rangers over these last couple of games, just not starting games the way that you would expect them to start, and you hope that that's not a trend that continues for too much longer. There's only 6 games left in the regular season, and then it's on to the playoffs, and I like to think the Rangers can just flip the switch when they need to, and you get into the playoffs, and okay, here we go. We got to start this game better than we've been starting. But better than that situation, I'd like to see them just start these games a little bit faster down the stretch here and eliminate a trend that, as it currently stands, I'm not going to call it like a serious problem, but it's something that they do have to get right. I think it's something that they will eventually get right. And like I said, it's the kind of thing that you're not going to be able to survive that in the playoffs. You're not going to be able to survive getting off to slow starts against either the Devils or the Hurricanes, because right now it certainly seems like the Rangers will be playing one of those teams or the other come Stanley Cup playoff time here. The Rangers need to start a little bit faster, play a little bit more urgency. The game tonight against the Sabres, at the end of the first period, and I realize that shots on goal is not the end-all, be-all stat, but when you finish the first period with only 2 shots on goal, that's pretty indicative usually of how the game is going, and that was the case in this one as well. There was actually a pretty crazy stat because Devon Levy was making his NHL debut for the Buffalo Sabres, and I do want to throw this stat at you, and I wouldn't know this stat off the top of my head, but they mentioned it during the broadcast. Levy faced only 2 shots against the Rangers in the first period, and of course that was his NHL debut. It was the fewest amount of shots that a debuting goalie has faced in the first period since Henrik Lundqvist faced 1 shot against the Devils in 2005, and apparently on that 1 shot, Lundqvist gave up a goal to Kozlov of the Devils. So it's been a while, and listen, Devon Levy, once he got tested a little bit later in this game, he looked good, made a lot of strong saves, kept the Sabres from, they did give up the lead, but kept them from, falling behind in this game. And then, of course, they won it in the overtime period. He was very good, but the Rangers did not test him at all early in this game. And I think that's what makes the slow start that much more inexcusable, is you're going up against a obviously inexperienced goalie. He's making his NHL debut. So you'd like to think that the Rangers could, kind of hit the ground running here, test him early, get him, under fire a little bit, make him a little bit uncomfortable. They weren't able to do that. And another interesting trend that we saw in this game, and we've been seeing it a little bit recently, but it really stood out in this game. The kid line, once again, hands down, the best line for the New York Rangers. I shouldn't say hands down because the fourth line played very well as well in this game. And, of course, both those lines were responsible for the Ranger goals. But it goes beyond just the goals being scored. The Rangers spent not a lot of time on Buffalo's side of the ice, certainly early in this game. But anytime they did, anytime they really got the forecheck working, anytime that, they had a sustained offensive zone possession, it was almost always the third line or the fourth line doing it. Very, very quiet night for the top six for the New York Rangers. And I hate to do this because, really none of the Ranger top six forwards looked all that great in this game. Nobody was really producing any kind of, quality scoring opportunities. But I suggested in a recent episode that, it's possible that Patrick Kane, he's got a couple of points with the Rangers. He's done all right, but we haven't seen game-changing, take over the game Patrick Kane yet, at least not with any kind of regularity or consistency. So I suggested recently that maybe it's possible that Kane, he's a little bit older now. Maybe he realizes the Rangers are going to the playoffs, and maybe he's saving a little bit of his energy for said playoffs. We're getting to the point where I really hope that's the case because Patrick Kane just, he's not noticeable in a lot of these games. He wasn't really noticeable against the Devils and didn't really do much of anything against the Sabres tonight. And I realize it's a little unfair of me to single him out because, like I said, nobody in the Ranger top six did much of anything in this game and got soundly outplayed by the bottom six. And that was actually really reflective by the way the Rangers used their personnel late in this game. In the third period, they had the kid line out there for what felt like about half of the third period, and the fourth line was getting a lot of shifts down the stretch in the third period as well. So I like the fact that Gerard Gallant saw this and reacted to it and pretty much said, listen, if the third and fourth line, if they're going to outplay my top two lines, and those are the guys they're going to play. The Rangers also, in the middle of this game, tweaked the first line and the second line. Basically, all they did was they flip-flopped Panarin and Kreider. So you had Kreider up on the top line with Mika and Tarasenko, and then you had Panarin on the second line with Trocheck and with Kane. So they did pretty much the only thing that they could do in a sense because the way the third line was playing, the kid line, you weren't going to break them up no matter what. They really had it going, and they've had it going recently. I don't think you'd want to touch that line. And the fourth line, I certainly don't think that you're going to want to, drop Patrick Kane down to the fourth line and put Tyler Mott on the second line. I love Tyler Mott, but I don't think something like that is going to happen. So, bottom line, the Rangers made a little tweak there. Didn't really seem to get them going in any discernible way, but I suppose it was worth a shot, given the fact that the Rangers just weren't getting anything going, especially not as far as the top six is concerned, getting anything going. We're going to keep everything rolling in just a second. I want to kind of go through this game, talk about certain things that happened, and give some props to Jaroslav Halak. I thought he did a great job, especially early in this game, keeping the Rangers in it. We will do all that fun stuff in just a second, but first, we got to let everybody know today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I use Athletic Greens literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great, and I wanted to see what all the hype was about. Now I've been on it for about 10 months, and I love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy, has kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to each morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It is lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, we just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So I want to kind of just go through this game, kind of go beat by beat here, look at, all the different periods and everything that happened. You had Jaroslav Halak being tested early in this game, kind of set the tone for the night. Halak made a lot of really tough saves, kept the Rangers in it, saved their bacon. Really nice glove save in the first 30 seconds, and a really good pad save about 2 or 3 minutes after that. And once again, just another slow start for the New York Rangers. You watch this first period, all the action is in the Rangers zone. You're over-relying on your goalie to bail you out, make some tough saves. Rangers just look slow. They never had the puck in the first period. The first shot on goal for the Rangers came 10-20 into the first period, came from Jimmy Vesey. It was, a low-danger scoring opportunity. And the few times that the puck was actually in the Buffalo zone, there was next to no forecheck for the New York Rangers. And everything I just said, it's become a little bit too common recently. We just got done talking about that, but I think it deserves, some reinforcing here that the Rangers really need to get off to better starts. You get off to slow starts in the playoffs against good teams, and the game can get away from you pretty fast. So the Rangers can't be letting that happen as we come down the stretch here. But yeah, the Sabres keep swarming. Good offensive zone possession for them, moving the puck, pretty much doing whatever they want. Not a whole lot of resistance by the Rangers. Halak makes another great save, but then you get behind the back pass, and Peterka, I know I'm saying that wrong, but he scores, and Buffalo goes up 1-0. And, situation where Mikkola was a little bit out of position for the Rangers. I thought Kane, he kind of over-pursued the rebound and left the back door open, so to speak, on the other side of the net. And Peterka was left wide open and was able to score from the doorstep there, And then, kind of what was a sign of things to come, late in the first period, really good chance for the kid line. You had Lafreniere passing to Kakko on the right side, the left side, but then Kakko, instead of shooting, passes across the crease to Filip. Chytil's got an open net, but just kind of, didn't get off a good shot, and instead of putting it into the empty net, shot it right into Devon Levy, who, of course, was making his first start there. So best chance for the Rangers by far with less than a minute remaining in the first period. To kind of keep everything rolling here and get to the second period. Great start to the second period for the Rangers. You get Panarin taking a penalty on the first shift for a high stick behind the Buffalo net. Another offensive zone unnecessary penalty by a veteran New York Ranger. You get Jaroslav Halak once again bailing out his team. He makes a sliding save to his right during the ensuing power play for the Buffalo Sabres. Rangers kill it off, but eventually you've got Greenway powering to the net from the right side, and he scores with one hand on his stick. Goes up 2-0. Ben Harpur was there, but just couldn't keep him from getting to the net. Trouba came over to help. He couldn't get there quite in time either. Not Trouba's fault, really. He just, was a little bit late getting there. But that was mainly on Harpur. And, recently I feel like Harpur, his play has begun to, I don't want to say take a nosedive, but it's begun to go in the wrong direction a little bit. And when the Rangers first traded for Mikkola, and he was kind of acclimating himself to his new team, I was kind of thinking, I'm not seeing anything from Mikkola that's telling me that he's, a better player, or at least a significantly better player than Ben Harpur. And recently, I feel like that's turned quite a bit. Harpur has had a couple of miscues in the last couple of games here, and I think Mikkola has played well. Mikkola actually came close to scoring a goal a couple times there against the Devils. That'd be cool to see Mikkola get one down the stretch here. But I think right now, once Ryan Lindgren comes back, you're looking at a situation where, the Rangers were always going to go with Mikkola, but I think right now, based on how Mikkola and Harpur have both played recently, it's probably more justified than it probably ever has been. Mikkola, I think, certainly establishing himself as the better option than Ben Harpur. Ben Harpur's still got a good story. I think it's really cool what he did this year, and, obviously thought about quitting hockey, fights his way back into the league, gets a chance with the Rangers, and, with him as like a 6th or 7th defenseman, I think he can get by with Ben Harpur in that role. But right now, if everybody's healthy, he certainly is going to be the odd man out, and I think justifiably so based on what has happened recently. This was kind of funny. This also happened in the second period. Rangers are down 2-0 still at this point, and Joe Micheletti at that point was pointing out what I think a lot of us were seeing at this point in the game, and that's that the kid line have been the best line for the New York Rangers. And on this shift, they have a sustained offensive zone possession. The Sabres get it to the neutral zone, but Lafreniere brings it right back in, veers to his right, takes a shot. Chytil goes for the rebound, and he tips it right over Levi's head, basically. And I'm not sure if this puck would have gone in or not. I think it might have actually been going wide. So really a phenomenal play by Kakko. He's there, reaches out with his stick, and bats it out of the air. Doesn't get all of it, but gets just enough of the puck to send it into the net, redirect it a little bit. And like I said, if Kakko didn't get a piece of this, I think there's a decent chance that this goes wide here and the Rangers don't score. But a great play by Kakko. Great play by all three of the kids here, really. And obviously, once again, the best line for the New York Rangers in this game. And they almost got another goal right after this. Late in the second period, you've got Lafreniere up the left side, leaves a drop pass for Filip Chytil. Chytil might have been calling for the puck. Chytil quickly passes over to the right side to Kakko. Kakko on the doorstep. Great sliding save here is made, so Kakko is robbed on the doorstep, and the Sabres remain up 2-1 going into the second intermission. We're going to keep everything rolling in just a second here. I do want to talk a little bit about the third period, a couple other things as well, and we will get to that in just a second. But first, we got to let everybody know that today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories? Then you got to try a Built Bar. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they are covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box because for years we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com, but now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You could pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate or coconut puffs, and if you're close to a Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank us later. All right, let's keep everything rolling here. Get to the third period. Obviously, look, the Rangers were trailing going into the third. I thought they did get stronger as this game went on, if you're looking for kind of a silver lining here. And obviously, once it gets into overtime, 3-on-3, it's anybody's game, and just wasn't meant to be for the Rangers on this night. But, you can't help but feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot, given the start that they got off to in this game. Basically, the first half of this game or so. But, the third period starts. You get a great shift by the fourth line. There was a scramble around the crease. Nice behind-the-back pass by Goodrow. And it was Vesey that passed it. Then Goodrow shot it. Saved on the doorstep. It was laying there. It was right next to the post. Vesey, unfortunately, was unable to stuff this one home. But I've been saying I think Jimmy Vesey's due for a goal. He got close here, and I think it's on the way sooner rather than later. Kakko had a great chance from the slot that was also denied. Fourth line then with another really strong blue-collar shift. Just great puck movement by the Rangers. Put on net by Adam Fox. You've got Tyler Mott and Barclay Goodrow. They both crash the net. They're both having a whack at it, each of them. And the puck ends up under Levi, but he doesn't really have it covered. Fox finds it and buries it, and that ties the score at 2-2 with 10 minutes left. And right after this, good shift on the shift that follows a goal, so that's obviously nice to see. Artemi Panarin draws a holding penalty, and Rangers go to the power play. Couple good chances. Panarin had a shot from the right circle. It was turned aside, and Trouba also, big slap shot from the blue line. That one was stopped as well. And this was kind of a funny moment because Barclay Goodrow, nice defensive play against Jeff Skinner. The Sabres wanted a penalty. They were livid that it was not called. Goodrow broke up a great scoring chance for Skinner there. But when you watch the replay, it looks like it was stick on stick, so I'm not so sure that it should have been a penalty. I mean, it looked bad because, Goodrow's approaching him from behind, and, obviously he's reaching in there with his stick, and, Skinner falls awkwardly to the ice. A lot of times this is getting called a penalty. It was not here, but, Skinner's livid, the coach is livid, the entire Sabres bench is livid, and then you see Goodrow and Vesey just kind of laughing about it on the bench, so I thought that was kind of funny. But to continue the theme, of the kid line having a great night, two really good defensive plays down the stretch here on the same shift. One by Lafreniere, one by Chytil. Each of them broke up scoring chances, within a couple of seconds of each other. And then the kid line, got things going in the opposite direction. But great defense there by the kids with the game on the line here, obviously. And then a couple of chances down the stretch here as well. Halak had an awesome save on, and here I go. I'm going to try to pronounce this name again. Peterka? I think it's Peterka, right? Peterka. So he made an awesome save there. Got a piece of his glove. That was with about 2:40 to go. And then back the other way, scramble in front of the Sabres net. Panarin with a shot from the high slot, stopped by Levi with about 1:28 to go. And then that pretty much sets the stage for overtime. And you've got Panarin, Fox, and Chytil out there, which is interesting because, 3-on-3 overtime, you really want to win that face-off. You know, there's certain overtimes 3-on-3. The team that loses the face-off doesn't even get control of the puck. You've got Trocheck, who's awesome on face-offs. You've got Mika, who's, you know, all right on face-offs. They go with Chytil, but he actually wins it. And the Rangers had a chance here. Fox plays the puck from the blue line in deep to Filip Chytil, looking for that tip-in goal. It goes just wide. Then Panarin with a shot, and Levi fights off a high shot there. So that, you know, obviously keeps the game alive for the Sabres. And then the Sabres come within just a couple inches of ending it. Cousins to Tuck. Tuck puts his shot off the post and stays out. But then you've got Mika, Miller, and Tarasenko on the ice for the Rangers. No whistles, by the way. This is all one big, long shift here in the overtime period. Sabres have possession of the puck, and then Skinner, maybe he was still mad about the penalty not being called against Goodrow, but he's got the puck at the Ranger blue line, and he just charges right for the net and pretty much goes right through everybody. You know, Tarasenko was there, Mika was there, Miller was there. They were all kind of a half step slow getting to Skinner. Skinner shoots and scores, and just like that, the Sabres win 3-2. And, you know, being a half step slow, I think that was a theme for the Rangers in this game, particularly the top six. And I hate to keep calling out the same players, but the bottom six for the Rangers clearly outplayed the top six in this game. I think that was pretty obvious to anybody who watched it. And, you know, hopefully, lesson learned, especially when it comes to the slow starts, and hopefully the Rangers start the next game a lot better than they started this one. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that is indeed the case, and they can rectify this, I don't want to say, like, problem, because, again, it's only something that's sprung up recently, and I do think the Rangers have enough character, and, you know, they'll eventually get the message, and they'll get it going. But, again, it's got to happen sooner rather than later. You can't go through these final 6 regular season games here getting off to bad start, after slow start, after lackluster start, after taking a bunch of penalties for no reason kind of start. That can't keep happening down the stretch, because you don't want that to spill, obviously, into the playoffs against what will be a quality playoff opponent, regardless of who the Rangers are matched up against. But I figure we can pretty much call it there. The only other point that I want to make real quick, the only silver lining to the Rangers losing to the Devils, and obviously, you know, instead of being tied with the Devils, that loss meant they were 4 points behind the Devils. They get the overtime loss tonight, so they're now 3 points behind the Devils, but the Devils now have a game in hand. The only good thing about that is it could result in the Rangers, if you're looking for a silver lining, it could result in the Rangers being locked into third place in the Metro Division sooner rather than later. And if that's the case, then, you know, you don't have to, you can give guys some rest if they need some rest. You know, limit the ice time for certain players, because if you're locked into your third spot in the Metro Division and you've got nothing to play for, then that's when it especially becomes all about the playoffs. I mean, it's kind of that way now, and I don't think you can take your foot off the gas too much, but once you're locked into your spot, you know, you're locked into your spot, and you owe it to yourself that, you know, above everything else, you got to make sure you're ready to go when the puck drops for game 1 of your first round playoff series. But that will do it for today, guys. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that is @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Game to Game NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.